Hi there. I'm glad to welcome you to my channel, World of Stories. I have a lot of interesting life stories that I want to share with you. Enjoy listening.
Vanessa didn't expect anything from life. Apparently, she had such a fate. What kind of fate? Well, a nondescript one. Vanessa herself was unremarkable in life, and her fate was just as unremarkable. She was about to turn 37, and, as they say, she had neither children nor ties. Nothing to boast about. And no one to boast to. She lived alone in a one-room apartment that she inherited from her wayward mother, who had passed away 11 years ago from the burdens of a turbulent life. Her mother could have lived longer, but it seems she exhausted her life's limit over the years. That's why she departed to the other world early. Her mother lived life to the fullest. Lovers came in an endless stream. Parties, revelry, restaurants. No, her mother wasn't indiscriminate with her lovers. She chose those who were decent enough to provide for the unemployed mistress and her Vanessa, as her daughter Buffy called her. Vanessa was born from one of those lovers. She knew only her mother. Vanessa didn't know her father, but if she ever saw him, she would have recognized him immediately. She felt like she was his spitting image. Small gray eyes almost devoid of eyelashes, but with thick red eyebrows. A potato-like nose, thick fleshy lips, chubby cheeks, a heavy chin, and a mop of unruly red hair. She also knew that her father's name was Alfred. Vanessa's mother, Buffy, was a beauty. Vanessa resembled her mother a lot, in figure and slim, long legs. Sometimes men, seeing her from behind, would start to flirt with her, but upon seeing her face, they would recoil in surprise. At least that's how it seemed to Vanessa. And indeed, that's how it was. Maybe it's her punishment? Karma for her mother's wild life, Vanessa thought. As it's well known, nature takes its toll on children. And on Vanessa, it seemed, it took such a toll that she felt like screaming out of hopelessness. For people like her, the way out of solitude was clear: work, work, and more work. And that's what she did. She worked as an auditor, uncompromising and unyielding. People tried to bribe Vanessa to bypass her meticulous checks, but that wasn't her style. Sometimes she even felt sorry for careless accountants who followed their management's lead and violated what shouldn't be violated. But beyond sympathy, there was nothing. Vanessa was a professional, and professionals don't joke around. Sometimes superiors, naturally men, tried to make advances towards Vanessa Becker to ensure a smooth inspection, but Vanessa understood that it was a futile attempt, and she was the queen of her domain. Therefore, she didn't stoop to such relations with erring bosses. On the contrary, she delved even deeper into the documentation, down to the commas. In her free time from work, Vanessa worked again. She worked remotely from home. She managed the accounting of 3 companies involved in fish supply and sales. Financially, she was quite well off, but in her personal life, she had nothing. And she had come to terms with that and lived as best she could. Or rather, she just existed. To say that Vanessa had any desires in life would be a lie. The workaholic Vanessa saw no point in transforming her living space or transforming herself. What was there to transform? Everything was fine as it was. But one day, she started to think. What would happen to her? Where would all the money she earned and had earned go? To some distant relative? After all, she had nothing. No one. She was alone. Alone in the whole wide world. Well, not alone. She had a sister whom Vanessa had only seen in photos in her mother's album. Little, beautiful Debbie, a copy of Buffy. Vanessa smiled at the photo of Debbie with the smile of an angel. But Vanessa neither dreamed nor thought of her. The only thing she knew was that Debbie was the daughter of Buffy's first and only marriage. And when Buffy's husband filed for divorce, he deprived Buffy of parental rights and took 2-year-old Debbie to raise her, and it wasn't difficult. Since the divorce happened due to Buffy's tumultuous life, which didn't fit into family life, Vanessa, 3 years younger than her sister, naturally wanted to meet Debbie now. In the age of the internet, it wasn't hard to find each other, but she was afraid. Afraid of being rejected by her sister. Afraid of being cast aside. Since Debbie herself wasn't looking for Vanessa, Vanessa assumed that her sister didn't need her. But sometimes she thought perhaps her sister didn't even know she existed. Well, Vanessa started thinking about her assets and decided to invest them for her own benefit. She sold her one-bedroom apartment and bought a three-bedroom apartment. A ready-made one, from scratch, in a prestigious area, with excellent renovation, furnished with fashionable furniture, and equipped with the latest technology. Vanessa's huge bedroom also served as her office. Essentially, she spent all her time in her bedroom and the kitchen. Another bedroom and the living room remained neglected by Vanessa. She only dusted them once a month. Of course, with her money, she could have hired a housekeeper. But what would she do then? At least she works while dusting. Sometimes Vanessa wondered why she bought this property. Just to dust it? After all, she had no family or children, and none were expected. As it turned out, she didn't need such an apartment. Not at all. She was quite successful. She could have adopted a child from an orphanage, but she was afraid of that too. Afraid that she wouldn't be able to provide the child with proper upbringing. Since no one had ever raised her, she had no idea how it was done. And taking care of someone else's child was such a responsibility. More so than being responsible for her own child. And to admit, she was still a virgin. No one had ever noticed her beauty. Vanessa felt very lonely. She didn't even have any friends. Somehow, friendship with other girls didn't work out for her, and Vanessa believed that her appearance was to blame. Who would go to a party with such a friend? She'd scare away all the potential suitors. So, they didn't befriend her, they just used her. Vanessa studied well and wasn't stingy, helping others to cheat both at school and in college. But in her 4th year at college, anger overtook her, and she closed down this charitable endeavor. For this, she was called a mean-spirited red dwarf. Why red? That's quite obvious. But why a dwarf? After all, she was 5 feet 8 inches tall. Maybe because dwarfs are known for being irritable. Vanessa knew nothing about dwarfs. Nor did she intend to find out. But she had grown tired of being so kind-hearted. And that was that. On that evening, as usual, there was no foreboding. Vanessa, focused on her computer, worked diligently. The work required attention and quiet. The whole apartment favored Vanessa's work. And suddenly, she heard a tapping on the window from the street side. Vanessa thought she was imagining things. She lived on the 7th floor. So, there was no way. Nobody would tap on the window. She didn't even glance at the window. Even though it was Sunday, a day off. It was 1 in the afternoon. Still bright outside. She would have noticed right away. The window was tapped a couple more times. Vanessa turned to the window and saw a white dove sitting on the windowsill, pecking at the glass. Probably some bugs on the window, Vanessa thought. And it's catching and pecking at them. Vanessa took a break from work and watched the guest, which had landed by the window and was tapping to get her attention. She couldn't see the dove because of the thick curtains, but Vanessa watched it and smiled. The window was slightly open. The dove flapped its wings, flew into the room, perched on the windowsill, pecked at the glass from the inside, but not finding anything edible, left a mark on the windowsill and flew away. What could this mean? Vanessa thought, wiping the dove's mark off the windowsill. Well, bird droppings obviously meant money, but why did the dove appear? Yes, it even tapped the window with its beak. Birds usually tap the window to bring news. Funny. Who am I supposed to expect news from, and what kind of news is it? Bad or good? The dove was white, Vanessa reasoned. So, it's good news. Maybe some changes at work, but there's nothing else to expect. At work, there were no movements or changes observed. Everything was as usual, and by the end of the week, Vanessa had calmed down and even forgotten about the dove that had tapped out news for her. On Saturday evening, the telephone rang. The landline telephone that came with Vanessa's apartment. Due to its lack of use, she had been planning to file a request for its disconnection. However, she had not found the time to visit the phone station. Nobody had ever called her on that phone, and suddenly it came to life, notifying her with a melodious ring. Vanessa was taken aback by the unexpected sound. She became flustered, and she considered not answering the call. After all, who would she answer to? But the phone kept ringing, and cautiously, as if fearing to scare off the caller on the other end of the line, she picked up the telephone receiver and softly said, "Hello? Hello?" Vanessa said again, as there was silence on the other end of the line. Then something clicked on the phone, and a female voice suddenly shouted loudly, "Hello? Hello? Is this Vanessa? Vanessa Becker?" "Yes," Vanessa said, bewildered. "It's me. So, I didn't make a mistake. Hello? Hello?" Vanessa greeted, not knowing who it was. "I'm Debbie. Your sister." "Vanessa, quickly give me your address, it's expensive to call from France. I'm flying to America for an urgent matter. I need you, Vanessa. Tell me." Vanessa gave her address, and then there were dial tones. She sat down on a chair and stared at the telephone in bewilderment. Unbelievable. Someone needs her, and not just anyone, but her sister. Debbie even said, "I need you." Although they had different fathers, they shared the same mother. So, they were sisters. Vanessa didn't know whether to be happy about this news or wait before showing her joy. It was all so strange. The phone call felt like a typhoon that had hit her. Debbie hadn't said when she would arrive or where to meet her. This was news indeed. How surprising. The dove tapped on her window, and now Debbie had shown up. Vanessa hung up the telephone receiver and looked at herself in the mirror. She smiled and then immediately felt disheartened. Yes, she thought. My appearance might be surprising for Debbie. I should at least do something with my hair. Get a haircut or a style. A manicure wouldn't hurt to freshen up either. Although, it's not going to change much. But still. 2 days later, closer to the evening, a phone call came to Vanessa's apartment. She opened the door and saw a copy of her mother, Buffy. "Hello?" Debbie said, rolling in 2 suitcases. "Good thing the elevator works." "Hello?" Vanessa replied. "It's always working for us." "So, civilization has reached here?" Debbie asked and, not hearing a reply, continued. "Well, welcome me." She went up to Vanessa, who was taken aback, and hugged her. Then she stepped back a bit, looked at her attentively, and with a hint of doubt in her voice, asked, "So, you're really my sister? Your mother's name is Buffy?" "Buffy?" Vanessa smiled. "Her photo is in the bedroom. You can look. You're her spitting image." "Well, because we look nothing alike. The Becker surname is common. That's why." "That's true. I don't look like Mom, I take after Dad more." "That's unlucky," Debbie stated. "But oh well. Where should I roll my suitcases? Where should I settle in?" "Right into the bedroom. You're living in style," Debbie said, looking around. "Your husband's apartment?" "No, mine." "I don't have a husband," Vanessa blushed. "Right. Unlucky, or maybe lucky that you don't have any fool hanging around. It's tough, of course, without these idiots, but sometimes life is easier without them. Breathing becomes so light. The purest ozone." "I don't know. I haven't had any fools around," Vanessa admitted. Meanwhile, Debbie was tossing things from the suitcases onto the bed. She was clearly searching for something. "I didn't understand," she asked. "Have you only been encountering intelligent men? And I haven't had any intelligent ones either. None of any kind. You need to do something about that." Vanessa didn't understand what she should do something about. She thought that Debbie was talking to herself while searching for something. "Here." Debbie shouted triumphantly. She pulled out a bright, almost weightless scarf from the suitcase and handed it to Vanessa. It's a gift. These scarves are all the rage in Paris right now. No need to thank me. Vanessa blushed and took the scarf. Nobody had given her anything for ages. She admired the scarf, and Debbie quickly walked over, snatched the scarf back, tied it in a bow around Vanessa's neck, stepped back, and admired her handiwork. Yes, she said, puzzled. The scarf didn't add any charm to you. You need to do something about that. Vanessa's sister was behaving as if she were the host here, not Vanessa. Her impulsiveness in behavior, even her movements, were exactly like their mother, Buffy. Genes are more important than upbringing after all. Vanessa thought. Debbie was never raised by their mother, yet there was such a resemblance. But why don't I resemble them? In comparison to Debbie, Vanessa felt like an old woman, while the lively Debbie seemed like an active teenager, even though she was already 40 years old. Do you have a family, children? Vanessa asked. She asked like that. She simply didn't know what to talk about with her newly found sister. You know, Vanessa. You can't live on fairy tales. I've just arrived from the road. Oh. Vanessa said, embarrassed. I'm sorry, I'm completely flustered. Shall we eat at home or go to a restaurant? Is that so? Debbie raised an eyebrow. I'd like to have dinner at a restaurant, but I'm afraid I won't have enough money for accommodation. I'm planning to stay here for a while. It's on me. Vanessa said. You're my guest. I can afford a restaurant dinner. Besides, I don't go there often. There's no one to go with, and it's awkward to go alone. Then I'm all in. Debbie answered energetically. Well, if you want, freshen up from the road, change your clothes, and let's go, Vanessa suggested. I'll freshen up and change later. I want to eat, I can't wait. Are you going to wear jeans like that to a restaurant? Vanessa was surprised. Why not? Do I look bad? Not bad. Vanessa replied doubtfully. But people don't go to restaurants like that. Vanessa, it's time to change these etiquette stereotypes. Democracy exists here too, I understand that now. Democracy, but I'll change clothes. Change then. Debbie permitted. Vanessa changed into a dress that was bought when their mother was alive and put on high-heeled shoes. It works. Debbie said and looked at Vanessa sympathetically. Strangely, they got past the dress code, Vanessa concluded. No one stopped them or sent them away. I'm pregnant. Debbie said, greedily devouring her food. That's why I want to eat all the time. You can't tell just by looking at you. Vanessa said, looking at her sister's belly. 2 months. That's why I came here. I want to give birth here, you know how it is over there? They'd give the child their citizenship, and that's a stupid idea, Vanessa, you understand. Jean-Paul doesn't know I'm pregnant. Nobody knows. Only me, and now you. Who's Jean-Paul? No, not my husband. He's just a fool, but it's his child. Do you have any other children? No. Imagine, Vanessa, I'm 40 and I'm pregnant. My baby will be born here and will be an American citizen. I have dual citizenship, you know. And then? Then, who knows? Debbie chuckled. I'll think about the future later. So, are you going back to France? I don't know yet. And you're fool. Oops, sorry. Does Jean-Paul know you're in America? He doesn't know. Let him sit there alone and think. But I'll tell you, Vanessa, you can't compare French men to ours. It's just not the same. Everything is different. That French romanticism you see in movies, Paris, men, it's all from the time of Dumas, but now there's no good man there, I'm telling you, sister. Do you know the word intolerance? That's what it's about with them. You need such patience for their unpredictability. Our American men are straightforward, like a railroad track. We'll find you an American man, Debbie said confidently. Me? Vanessa repeated, not believing her ears. Why are you surprised? You're a young woman without a man. That won't do at all. Debbie, if I haven't had anyone until now, then I definitely won't now. Men won't be searching for me with my appearance. I understand that, and that's why I'm calm about it. That's the problem, you're too calm. You settled down too early. Do you think French women are better and more beautiful than you? Bull. They just know how to present themselves with a hot sauce. By the way, can I have more hot sauce? Debbie pleaded with her sister. I haven't eaten so deliciously in a long time. After all, our American cuisine is something unique. That's what I'm talking about, Vanessa. Debbie continued while eating meat. I'm talking about these fools. Don't drift, sister. We'll find someone for you no worse than others. I doubt it. Vanessa said hopelessly. That's exactly what your eyes are saying, and it scares men away. What do my eyes say? Vanessa didn't understand. Doubt. And you shouldn't doubt, you should be confident in yourself. Over in France, there's some old woman sitting at a cafe table, sipping her coffee, and eyeing the young ones. She even flirts with the waiter, and nobody would think she's an old lady. But why? Why? Vanessa asked again. Because she doesn't consider herself an old lady, she sees herself as a woman. She's a woman, and that says it all. Madam. How does that sound? Madam. It's a song. Well, that's in France, and we're in America, Vanessa sighed. And what about America? Yes, I'll tell you here. The most beautiful women are in America. They just don't realize it, but they should. Debbie looked at Vanessa attentively and added. I'll assess our opportunities and organize everything properly. That's something I know how to do. Then she fell into thought and said. I'll forget about this Paul guy. I'll find myself an American man. We'll live together, enjoy life, and accumulate wealth. Debbie filled Vanessa's apartment with her presence. There was so much of her that Vanessa felt like there were several Debbies living there. The noisy, energetic, unpredictable Debbie. Vanessa's life had been turned upside down. And this was despite her own activities not having fully taken off yet. Vanessa realized this from her sister's chattering. Wait, Vanessa. Once I find a job, I'll take care of you closely. Well, and of myself too. What's your profession? Vanessa asked. I completed foreign language courses. I could, of course, work as a teacher in some university or school, but I don't want to. I don't want to deal with the younger generation and waste my nerves on them. I'm pregnant after all. Why should I bother with such things? Debbie was planning to find a job, and Vanessa understood that her stay in America would be extended. Debbie hadn't said anything about where she would live during this time, and Vanessa was afraid to ask. Having guests is nice, of course, but living together is a different story. Dealing with Debbie's strong personality wouldn't be easy. Vanessa was used to living alone and enjoying the quiet, and living with Debbie might not be so simple. Debbie was in the shower when Vanessa returned from work. A pot of freshly cooked borscht and plump, golden brown cutlets were on the stove. The anticipation of such delicacies made Vanessa's mouth water. She rarely had time to pamper herself with home-cooked meals due to work. Most of her meals consisted of coffee, sandwiches, and takeout. The aroma of the cutlets was so tempting that she immediately washed her hands in the kitchen, grabbed a cutlet, and closed her eyes in enjoyment as she ate it. Then she washed her hands and headed to her bedroom. A plump, red-haired cat was sleeping on the keyboard of her computer. The cat opened its eyes, looked at Vanessa with discontented green eyes, yawned, and then went back to sleep. Vanessa both believed and didn't believe what she was seeing. How did a cat get in here? She glanced at the window just to be sure. The window was closed. Moreover, they were on the 7th floor. You've met her already? Debbie entered the bedroom. She sleeps just like me. When I got pregnant, I wanted to sleep and eat all the time. I found this beauty in the dumpster. I was taking out the trash, and she jumped out of the bin onto my shoulder. She scratched me a bit, but it'll heal. A dumpster cat? Vanessa widened her eyes and wrinkled her nose in disapproval. Don't worry. I bought flea shampoo and gave her a bath. But are you against cats? Well, you should have asked about it in advance. Vanessa replied. Not when she's sleeping on my computer. I thought we're sisters. And you don't like animals? I don't know, Vanessa admitted. Animals are such a delight. Debbie smiled. You'll feel it yourself, and this red devil, she's so much like us. Like us? Vanessa was surprised. She's red, just like you. And pregnant, like me. I named her Morka in your honor. Morka seemed to sense that she was being talked about. She jumped from the keyboard to the floor and started rubbing against Vanessa's legs. So she's pregnant too? Does that mean there will be kittens? Imagine what a delight it will be. Debbie said with affection, both towards the cat and Vanessa. I can't imagine. Debbie, I'm not ready for cats, Vanessa admitted. Have you lost your mind? Debbie said with reproach in her voice. She already has a name, and you want me to take her back to the dumpster? Well, okay, one cat. It's tolerable, but now there will be kittens too. Don't worry. There are already 2 people in line for the kittens. I'll find them homes. You don't need to worry about that. I even got a job as a concierge in our building. How about that? I don't know. Did you not find a better job? Oh, Vanessa. This is the best job for me. Sit in the room, interact with people, and do translations. I've accumulated a ton of translations, you know. Imagine, a 2-in-1 job. Both a concierge and a translator at the same time. I start my shift tomorrow. I've already met many residents of our building, and while I was bringing Morka home, 2 of them got in line for the kittens. Vanessa felt uneasy. To our home. To my home. Is she planning to live here? But this is unbearable. Pregnant cat today. What about tomorrow? I've already spotted one jerk from our building, Debbie said triumphantly. Are you going to bring that jerk and Morka into my home? The sisters looked at each other and burst into laughter simultaneously. No, Debbie. Before you bring anyone here, at least let me know about it, Vanessa laughed, and yet she gathered the courage to ask, will you take Morka with you when you move out? Move out? Debbie asked with surprise. Well, yes. After all, we're adults, and everyone has their own way of life. So you're kicking me out? Debbie's shoulders slumped immediately. The corners of her lips twitched. A sorrowful wrinkle appeared between her brows, and all her 40 years seemed to show on her face. I thought we were sisters. And then you live alone in such a big apartment, feeling bored and lonely, but I understand. I understand. As soon as I find a place where the owners will allow me to move in with Morka, I'll leave right away. Why don't you go to your father's or something? Or something. My dad is no longer here, and my stepmother and her son live in the apartment. I never got along with my stepmother, so I left for France. Vanessa couldn't sleep, her conscience was troubling her. Essentially, she was pushing her sister out of her home. Debbie had no one else but her, and Vanessa had no one else but Debbie, but she had gotten used to living alone. Her sister with her gushing energy was too much for her nerves. Thinking about leaving Debbie with her, Vanessa reached one conclusion. Debbie still had to move out. 2 days later, when Vanessa returned from work, she found her sister with packed suitcases and Morka in her arms. The cat was asleep, and Debbie was stroking her. As soon as Vanessa entered the room, Morka jumped off Debbie's lap, looked at Vanessa, and said, meow. It's time to say goodbye, Debbie said with a sad smile. Finally, you're here so I can hand you the keys. Morka and I are moving out. I found an apartment. I got lucky, the landlady is a cat lover. So, what now? Farewell, little sister. I bought a cake. Let's have some tea and then I'll go. I'll just order a taxi. As soon as Vanessa heard Debbie say, "That's it," something inside her seemed to break. It was said with such hopelessness, as if Debbie was saying, "Goodbye," to her forever. What do you mean, that's it? Are you planning to move to France? No, not yet. Not until my child gets American citizenship. I won't set foot in America again. It's just that I'm sad to part with you, even temporarily. I just found you. I feel so good with you. It's like I've always known you. Though, what's that? It's only been 2 weeks, but maybe we were family in a past life? Debbie smiled and wrinkled her cute nose like a child. I believe in reincarnation. I think that's what it was. Well, let's not talk about sad things. Tea and cake, that's so cheerful. Debbie cheered up. Vanessa. Well, we'll still meet, right? Visit each other? We're sisters, after all. And besides, I wanted you to be the godmother for my little one. Let's go have tea. Vanessa interrupted her, because if Debbie said a few more sentences, she might burst into tears and let her stay, only to later blame herself for this weakness. They had tea with cake, but the cake felt like a lump in Vanessa's throat, and a bitter lump of emotion was creeping up to her throat. She felt bitter for both herself and Debbie. Her sister, though raised by a supposedly loving father, was essentially just as lonely as Vanessa herself. From Debbie's stories, their father had his own personal life, which culminated in marriage to the stepmother. The stepmother and her son often mistreated Debbie. And when she complained to their father, the stepmother twisted things in such a way that Debbie ended up being at fault. That's why Debbie had stopped complaining and endured the mistreatment. As for Vanessa, her mother might not have mistreated her, but she had known since childhood that she was like a suitcase without a handle to her. Hard to carry and too pitiful to discard. Vanessa often found herself home alone, so she grew accustomed to solitude and independence. There were never any heartfelt conversations with her mother. They hardly talked at all, just exchanged practical phrases like, "Have you eaten?" or "How's school?" "What's wrong with you?" Debbie asked worriedly. "Vanessa, what's the matter? Are you feeling sick or did you not like the cake?" "Fine, don't eat it. Have some cottage cheese pancakes instead. Look, I made a whole stack of them." And at those words from Debbie, tears streamed down Vanessa's face. "What's wrong? What's wrong?" Debbie panicked. She rushed to her sister, embraced her, and pulled her close. "I'm crying for both of us," Vanessa said, burying her face in Debbie's belly. "Don't be sad like this, please. We'll still see each other. Where can we go from each other now? There are 2 of us. You're mine, and I'm yours." Debbie cupped her sister's face in her hands, kissed her tear-wet cheeks, smiled, and said, "Are you roaring at my belly? My little one will hear that roar and get scared. Vanessa, let's live positively. I need a healthy baby." Debbie. Vanessa looked at her sister imploringly, tears streaming down her cheeks. But Debbie's lips smiled to encourage Vanessa. "Debbie. Don't leave me. Stay. Don't go. And Murka? What about Murka?" "She's like us, you know," Debbie said. "I can't just take her back to the streets." "Murka can stay too," Vanessa allowed with a smile through her tears. "Where would we be without her? Where would I go from you?" Debbie said with a sense of doom. "All right, fine. Murka and I will stay. We're still sisters after all." At that moment, Vanessa wasn't thinking about how she would live with her sister. She was thinking about how she would live without her, and she felt scared. Debbie was her sister in every sense, her blood sister. Despite having different fathers and being so different themselves, Vanessa feared losing Debbie. In the concierge's room, Debbie was sitting with an elderly woman. They were drinking tea and enjoying some pastries, having a pleasant conversation. The old lady seemed particularly delighted, waving her hands and describing something cheerful, laughing heartily. Vanessa. Debbie called out to her passing sister. Hi. You're heading to work, and I'm coming from work. Zara Carroll is taking over for me, and we're indulging in cookies and discussing yesterday's TV series. Don't linger at work. We have a brow appointment today. Brow appointment? Why? For a permanent makeup session. We need to get our brows, lashes, and everything else in order. Well, what's the point of doing brow tattooing? Vanessa resisted. No, it's not pointless. Zara Carroll chimed in. I barely have any brows left due to age, but look at mine now, aren't they lovely? Vanessa glanced at the lovely brows and internally cringed. Does Debbie really want something like that on her face? Zara Carroll's brows were two thick black arches resembling dead caterpillars. Vanessa definitely did not want those kinds of brows. She'd rather have her own red ones. Debbie. Let's not do it today. Vanessa pleaded. No, today. I already scheduled it for 6:15 p.m. So, please. I know your excuses. If not today, then never. Debbie declared firmly. I don't see the point of getting eyebrow tattooing. Vanessa said as the beautician looked closely at her face. I share the same opinion. Vanessa sighed in relief. You need to thin out your brows, shape them, and tint them. But eyelid tattooing should be done. The beautician continued, smiling. We'll draw eyeliner along the upper lash line and give it a playful wing outside the lid. The eyeliner will visually enlarge your eyes and give them a flirtatious look. Flirtatious? Vanessa thought. Is that about her? How can her face be given a flirtatious look? Doubts plagued her, but she was relieved that the beautician wasn't planning to draw heavy caterpillars like on Zara Carroll. Debbie was sitting nearby, sipping coffee and keeping both the cosmetologist and Vanessa entertained with her chattering. She felt like her banter was uplifting her sister's spirit. Well, take a look at how it turned out. After finishing her work, the beautician brought a mirror to Vanessa's face. Oh. Vanessa said as she looked in the mirror. Is something wrong? The cosmetologist asked in surprise. To me, it's better than before. It's so much better. Unexpectedly better, Vanessa smiled. I don't recognize myself. Thank you so much. The cosmetologist smiled contentedly and said. Your eyelids will hurt. Here's some ointment. Apply it to help them heal faster. You have full lips, and that's great. Don't use lipstick, only lip gloss, and a light blush on your cheeks to finish the look. Your hairstyle needs a change too. Get a haircut that visually elongates your face shape, and you'll look amazing. Vanessa trusted the expert and asked Debbie to find her the best hair colorist, as she liked her transformation. However, by evening, her eyelids were sore, red, and swollen. And her already small eyes had shrunk by half. It's not a big deal. Debbie reassured her. In about 5 days, you'll be like new. Beauty is not easily gained, us women have to earn it, not once, but constantly. You, Vanessa, just got too comfortable without me. What's that on your head? The cosmetologist was right. Is that what a young woman's hairstyle looks like? It's like an old lady's style. It's so convenient for me. Vanessa said. My hair is unruly, getting in my eyes from all sides. I just tied it up, and it's fine. Fine? Are you out of your mind? Debbie exclaimed. Even Zara Carroll wouldn't let herself relax to that extent. Vanessa. I understand that you need to change not only your appearance but also your perception of yourself. A new perspective. All right, fine. I agree to be your external perspective. We need to change your hairstyle and wardrobe, everything. Not so fast. Let me get used to one thing, and then I'll think about the other. No. No. And once again, no. One thing leads to another. Consistency in your image. Have you heard of that? As soon as your eyelids heal, we're going to a hairstylist, and then shopping for a wardrobe, no excuses. Meow. Meow. Suddenly, Murka started yowling out of nowhere. Are you confirming this? Debbie asked the cat, but Murka, looking at Vanessa and Debbie, continued to yowl and pace around. Vanessa. Debbie exclaimed worriedly. She's in labor. Murka. Murka. Don't worry. We're here for you. Debbie placed Murka on her cushion and sat down beside her. Murka jumped up and ran over to Vanessa, yowling once more. Vanessa. Sit down next to me. We'll help her through labor. What do you mean, help? Vanessa exclaimed in fear. You see? She's calling us to sit with her, support her, stroke her, console her. After all, she's a woman too. She's seeking support and protection. I'm scared. Vanessa confessed. While Vanessa was scared, Murka gave birth to the first kitten and 2 more within the next hour. Phew, thank God. Vanessa sighed. Poor Murka. Yet the cat remained so calm and tranquil, as if she hadn't even been giving birth. She squinted her eyes, as if winking at her sisters. Like saying, everything will be fine. She licked the kittens, and they immediately latched onto their mother. Such idyllic warmth radiated from Murka and her kittens. At that moment, it seemed like there was nothing more important and harmonious than a mother and her children. Vanessa smiled and said, How wonderful. Happy Murka, and you, happy Debbie. You'll be a mother too. You'll be one too. You'll be a mother, Vanessa. You just need to believe in it very, very strongly. I've always believed that I'll have a child. And there you have it. Even though the doctors tried to convince me otherwise. That's why I came back to my homeland. My little one should be born here, not in some tolerant country where there's a taboo on my baby. Oh my God. Vanessa. Debbie exclaimed when Vanessa returned from the beauty salon. Is that you? Oh God, what beauty. Titian would envy you. You look like you stepped out of a painting. Am I as plump as the women in Titian's paintings? No, Vanessa. You're red-haired and beautiful, just like them. He loved painting red-haired women. Imagine that. How a hairstyle can transform a woman. Vanessa. You're not just beautiful. Well, you're incredibly extraordinary and beautiful. Even I didn't expect this from you. Vanessa believed Debbie, as she had already learned a bit about her character. Even though it was just a bit, Vanessa knew that Debbie spoke the truth, no matter how it made others feel, and she spoke it directly. Now it wouldn't be bad to go on the hunt. Debbie concluded. Seeing her sister's surprised expression, she added. Hunting for idiots. Debbie. We're not at an age to be running around clubs or websites, looking for men, Vanessa objected. And we won't be going beyond my concierge room. We'll catch them, tame them, and outsmart them. Outsmart them? Vanessa got scared. I mean that men think they're the ones choosing us, let them think that if it makes them happy. But we'll be the ones choosing them. Taming this wild subspecies of humans and building families with them. That's how it works, dear sister. Tomorrow, I'm taking the night shift, and you. Vanessa, tomorrow wear that denim jumpsuit that accentuates the grace of your figure. Go to work. Buy a couple of heavy bags of groceries, so heavy that you need masculine strength to carry them, and then come to my man-catching trap. What kind of trap? The concierge room. We'll be lying in ambush. Oh, Debbie. It's so embarrassing. What else have you come up with? Don't worry, sister. There won't be any shame. Everything will unfold naturally. Maybe I should wear something more modest, as the jumpsuit has a revealing neckline. People at work often look at me and comment on my changed image. Let them get used to it, and then I'll wear the jumpsuit. Don't hesitate, Vanessa. Let them get used to it right away. Otherwise, they'll get used to the old Vanessa, the reserved, quiet one who sits in her corner. And how are they reacting? At first, they looked at me with wide eyes. Some asked if something bad had happened to me. Some ladies even asked for hairstylist and permanent makeup artist contacts. I told them my sister had been searching for cosmetologists, which surprised them even more, since they had no idea I had a sister. Herman started paying attention to me. Ambiguous attention. And you? Who's this Herman? Herman is our boss's deputy, a perpetual bachelor, a lover of triumphs over the female gender. We don't need Herman. He's not promising. Debbie said confidently. Even if he were promising. I don't need him. Vanessa reassured Debbie. You don't need him. Don't forget that you have a sister. And Jean-Paul? What about Jean-Paul? He missed his chance. He calls every day, and I ignore him. Debbie. You can't do that. If you've lived with him for 12 years, you can't just erase someone from your life like that. Especially when you're going to have a child together. At the very least, he should know about the child. Debbie fell into deep thought. Maybe someday I'll forgive him, but not now. Right now, I have morning sickness from Paul. What did he do wrong? Vanessa asked. Sorry if I'm prying into your personal life. Pry away. You're my sister. Pry away. He stopped valuing the diamond he found. Admired it, kept admiring it, and then he got used to it, and the diamond became a piece of glass to him, lacking attention and admiration. What diamond are you talking about? Vanessa asked. I mean you and Paul. And I mean us and our relationship. It's an allegory. And what? Did you run away from him because of that? Isn't that enough? You know, Vanessa, a woman loses herself when she's being devalued. It's important for a woman to be valued. It's important for everyone. Vanessa said thoughtfully. And then all sorts of minor diamonds started appearing in his life. Not as substantial as me, but still. Is he cheating on you? That's what I understood, and it's an allegory? You understood correctly, Vanessa. Debbie hugged her sister and held her close. What would I do without you? How lucky I am to have found you. That we found each other. Phew, barely made it. Vanessa said and put 2 bags on the floor of the concierge's room. Did you carry those bags? No, I took a taxi. You should have asked the taxi driver to bring these bags here for you. Didn't think of it. Plus, it would have been awkward. Don't forget, Vanessa, that you're a woman now, a beautiful woman. And the word awkward doesn't belong in your vocabulary. I mean, when you ask a man for something. By allowing him to help you, you're giving him a chance. They should see it as a privilege. Of course, you should know how to ask, not begging pitifully or arrogantly, but with the dignity of a queen, promising compensation for the service. I'm sure that many won't even ask for money for such a small favor, but you should thank him in such a way that he feels like a knight, and he would be in a good mood all day and feel inspired to do heroic deeds. It's all so complicated. Vanessa sighed. Well, did you think it would be simple? Men aren't as foolish as I preach, after all. It requires a certain approach, a special approach, and there's a whole science to it. I need to teach you, Vanessa. Consider yourself lucky to have me. God himself sent me to you, Debbie joked. And now we wait. Our fool will appear any moment now. He's punctual. I've figured him out. He won't pass me by. Debbie confidently said and opened the window in her man-catching trap. James Palmer, good evening. Debbie greeted the imposing man who had just entered the building's lobby. Good evening. The man replied seriously and was about to slip by, but that wasn't going to happen. Can I have a moment of your time? We'd like to make use of you as a man, Debbie said with a smile. There was a double entendre in her words. James Palmer's eyeglasses hopped on his nose, and Vanessa blushed at her sister's words. Well, not in the literal sense. Debbie corrected herself, flirting. I mean, in terms of physical strength. Clearly, James Palmer wasn't accustomed to such requests. That was evident even to the naked eye. He was silent but watched Debbie closely and with interest. Of course. Vanessa thought. Who wouldn't look at such a beauty? You'd have to be blind not to notice how gorgeous Debbie is. Which floor do you live on? Debbie continued her dialogue with the reticent James Palmer, although she had known for a while where he lived. The 7th. Oh, how wonderful. It turns out we're neighbors with you. Please be kind to single ladies, Debbie said gracefully. She was also giving Vanessa a lesson in how to ask men. Help us carry these grocery bags to our apartment. We would be very grateful, as we can't handle these bags on our own. Fine. James Palmer reluctantly agreed. Let's go. Where are your bags? While conversing with Debbie, James Palmer didn't even spare a glance for Vanessa, and it hurt her feelings as if she were invisible. But that's precisely what she expected. Where there's Debbie, there's no room for anyone else. Debbie occupied all the space, emitting such vibes that few men could withstand. Allow me to introduce you. Debbie deliberately and loudly, so that James Palmer would finally notice Vanessa, said. This is my sister, Vanessa. I can't leave work, so you can accompany her with the bags to the door. James Palmer barely glanced at Vanessa and, out of gallantry, said. Very nice to meet you, James. Well, you already know. Vanessa blushed even more. She felt like she was burning with embarrassment. She was even relieved that James's gaze didn't linger on her. James Palmer took the bags and headed towards the elevator. Vanessa, making threatening gestures with her fist toward Debbie, followed their helper. Thank you. Vanessa said when they reached the door to her apartment. Open the door, James said. I'll carry the bags into the hallway. I'll be a gentleman until the end. James smiled, and his face transformed. From a stern and serious executive, he turned into a regular person, even looking about 5 years younger. He brought the bags into the apartment and, for some reason, looked attentively at Vanessa's blushing face. Are you really sisters? With Debbie? Yes, we're sisters. I would have never guessed. You don't look alike at all. His words made Vanessa blush even more, and her confidence in her allure instantly vanished. We have different fathers, but the same mother, Vanessa explained, as if justifying herself. Ah. Well, that explains it. Well, all the best. James Palmer left. And Vanessa, from excessive tension, felt tired. She immediately sat down on a chair in the hallway and started to think. How much energy do men consume? I don't feel this tired after work. She unloaded groceries into the fridge, took a shower, ate the meat-filled pancakes Debbie had prepared, and was about to start working when the phone rang. Well, what? Debbie asked. What? What? Vanessa was puzzled. Vanessa, what are you acting silly about? Tell me how you charmed the man and whether you managed to deceive him. Debbie, are you out of your mind? How could I charm him? He barely even looked in my direction. Deceive him? What do you mean by deceive? No, Vanessa. This is something. You just let him go like that? What do you mean? He brought in the bags and went home. Awful. Debbie whispered disappointedly. What's awful? What? Vanessa got angry. The guy was practically in your pocket, and you let him go. Oh, what was I supposed to do? Jump on him? Very funny. How clueless you are in this regard. If I knew you were so naive about this, I would have given you instructions on how to apply and charm men. You could have offered him tea with my pancakes and made the offer in such a way that he couldn't refuse, and then who knows? Word by word, things could have escalated. A single guy like him, you've got to grab him. Escalated? Grab him? Vanessa mocked her sister. Yeah, he didn't even look my way. He was staring at you. Vanessa. I'm not worried about myself. Right now, I need to assess you. What do you think of him? Handsome? Well, he seems quite serious, Vanessa replied. And by the way, how did you assume he's single? I'm observant. He sometimes comes with a boy around 16. It's clear that he's his son, they resemble each other. And there's no woman seen with him. So, he's divorced. Plus, he just recently bought an apartment, like you did. Probably got divorced and got himself a new place. Vanessa. Imagine how spacious his apartment is. Probably an entire apartment suite. A serious catch, you can't let him slip away. Well, never mind. You won't be alone with me. Another attempt. Just be careful, don't yawn now. Debbie. Maybe it's unnecessary? Maybe we should forget about these catches? I talked to James for 5 minutes, and I'm as tired as if I'd done a thorough cleaning in the apartment. I didn't realize it would be this tough. Well, what should I do with you? Debbie sighed. You have to relax around men, not tense up. But you're all wrinkled up, tensed up, like you're saying goodbye to your virginity. You hit the nail on the head with that one. What nail? I don't know how to charm men because I truly am a virgin. Are you crazy? Debbie exclaimed. Say you're joking. Beyond joking, it's true. That's a minus for you. A big minus. At your age, being a virgin is shameful. Something needs to be done about that. Why is it shameful and why is it a minus? Vanessa was surprised. Yes, that's why. It means you've lived and lived, reached 38, and no one needed you. To that extent, not needed. Still going around as a virgin. And now what? Vanessa felt disheartened. We need to think. We need to come up with an excuse for your innocence. You know what men are like? No, I don't know. I haven't had any experience with them. They might think if she hasn't been needed by anyone until now, there's something wrong with her. What should I do then? Vanessa was upset. For now, nothing. I'll think about it. We need to come up with a legend to justify your virginity. But never mind. Let's not rush, but let's also not drag our feet. First, you need to charm James, and then we'll think about everything else. Otherwise, women grab such catches quickly. You and I still have some privileges. He's our neighbor, and we're single women. Notice, weak women in need of help. I got registered with a gynecologist today, Debbie announced. My jerk Sean Paul called, and I answered the call feeling ashamed because of you. I admitted I'm currently in America. Did you tell him about the child? It'll pass. I don't want to for now, otherwise he'll come here and start bothering me, begging me to come back. He would rush to me like that. If he knew exactly where I am. Not now. But I'll keep in touch with him occasionally to make sure he doesn't completely relax. And he hasn't found a replacement for me yet. So are you planning to go back to France after all? Not yet. Debbie said confidently. I can't leave you here like this without supervision. I'll marry you off, then I'll evaluate my behavior. Will you give me away? Vanessa said doubtfully. I will, rest assured. But my assurance alone might not be enough. So, Vanessa. Let's get more actively involved in this adventure. Debbie. I wouldn't want you to leave, Vanessa confessed. Well, you know. Want it or not, once you have a family, you won't have time for me. But it's nice to know you love me, Debbie admitted. And do I love you? Vanessa smiled mysteriously. Why not? Yes, more. More than love. I adore you, Debbie. Vanessa hugged the startled Debbie. You scared me. I thought my love wasn't reciprocated. The sisters fell onto the couch, embracing, and burst into laughter. Vanessa. Debbie called her sister. Listen, no yawning today. I'll send James over to you. Be ready. Freshen up. I baked a sponge cake, offer James some tea, have a heartfelt conversation with him. Try to move around more in his presence so he can properly see your figure. But be careful. Don't wear anything too tight. Your legs should be visible. Don't put on socks or slippers, like he caught you off guard. Men get excited by barefoot women. My feet are cold, Vanessa grimaced. It's a good thing Debbie can't see her expression, otherwise she'd lecture her about facial expressions. Endure it. It's not the end of the world if your feet are a bit cold. Tell James your legs are freezing. He'll probably warm them up for you, Debbie laughed over the phone. Very funny. Vanessa. Well, he's coming. Wait for him. I'm in action. Good evening, James Palmer. Debbie greeted him with a smile. Good evening. If you're not joking, the potential suitor responded discontentedly. No jokes here. And why the sour face? Did someone ruin your mood? Just let go of everything and everyone. And take care of your health, James Palmer. Debbie advised. I'd like to let go. Yeah. It's not working out that well, James paused near the concierge window. Today, it seemed like he wanted to chat. How are you doing? How is your lovely sister Vanessa doing? James Palmer inquired curiously, and Debbie saw it as a good sign. Getting by without problems, but we solve them as they come, Debbie sighed. So they don't pile up. It's good that problems are getting resolved, but there are unsolvable ones, James said wearily. The unsolvable ones, we push aside and keep living, Debbie smiled. It seems so easy for you. I wish I could live like that. But it's just not working out. Our cat helps us. We call her Morka. If you stroke her, she purrs her little song, and it just eases everything. We have a magical Morka. James Palmer looked at Debbie with puzzlement after her words, and then he realized from her mischievous smile that she was joking. He burst into laughter and laughed so much that tears came to his eyes. Debbie was also laughing, and then she spoke through the laughter. Our Morka has 3 kittens. 2 of them are already spoken for, but 1 is still available. Would you like to take a magical Morka kitten home with you? I'll think about it. Chuckling, James Palmer walked towards the elevator. I'll think about your offer. Slippery move, you're not catching him with your bare hands that easily. But a decent representative of catches, like him, is worth the effort to pursue and try to tame. It's actually interesting to tame such ones, Debbie laughed and then heard the doorbell ringing in Vanessa's apartment. Vanessa. It's definitely him calling. Open up and put your plan into action. I'm on standby. Hello, Vanessa. James said as Vanessa opened the door to her guest. Debbie sent me over. They say you have a magical cat with kittens here, I'd like to take a look, James Palmer smiled. Magical? Vanessa was surprised. Debbie is exaggerating. Yes, come in. Our Morka isn't magical at all. She just loves us, and we love her. That's the whole magic. Love is the real magic. James Palmer said confidently as he entered the apartment. Vanessa blushed for some reason and said, You're probably right. Are you doubting it? She wanted to say that she didn't know because she hadn't loved anyone besides Debbie, and now she loves Morka with her kittens, and that's thanks to her sister who taught her to love animals. Vanessa didn't say all of this, she simply offered to James. Come in. Here's our beauty with her little ones, Vanessa smiled and felt James's gaze on her, making her blush even more. Seeing an unfamiliar person, Morka rushed to gather her kittens, which had scattered around the room. She collected them on her cushion and covered them. Mother. James said. She's worried. Afraid they'll take her babies away. Motherhood is one of the main instincts not only in animals but also in humans, in women. Vanessa didn't know what to say to James Palmer's words. She couldn't imagine having an easy conversation with him. She was tense, and then, she blurted out. I don't have children. So, I don't know anything about that. After Vanessa's words, James felt out of place, as if he had been peeking into Vanessa's personal life through a keyhole. For some reason, he cleared his throat and said, I should probably go, and your kittens are wonderful, funny. Vanessa understood that she had said something completely wrong. Debbie would scold her again. She needed to fix the situation. Have you had dinner, James Palmer? I haven't had a chance. Great. I really didn't want to dine alone. How about we eat together? We have stuffed dumplings with mushrooms and sponge cake. Debbie cooks so deliciously. You'll love it. Well, it's a bit awkward. James Palmer hesitated. What's awkward about it? We're neighbors. We practically live next to each other, almost through the wall, and yet we don't communicate. If it weren't for Debbie, I wouldn't even know you lived next door. People used to be friends with the whole street, but not anymore. I agree about how it used to be. All right, I'll have dinner with you. You described the stuffed dumplings and sponge cake so well, then James suggested. And, would you like some authentic French champagne? Vanessa was taken aback. She thought champagne was consumed to get closer. For her, it was a romantic drink that led to romantic consequences. James probably understood her silence and said, just as neighbors. For a closer acquaintance, realizing that he had misspoken with the phrase, for a closer acquaintance, he corrected himself. Don't think of anything extra. Vanessa wanted to think, but James Palmer warned her, so she said. I've never had French champagne before. Excellent. It's delicious, just as delicious as the stuffed dumplings and sponge cake. James promised. I'll bring it right now. I'll be quick. James went for the champagne, and at that moment, Debbie called. Well? How did it go? He's gone for the champagne. He'll be here soon. Great. Debbie triumphantly exclaimed. Well done, Vanessa. Call me when he leaves. I'll be waiting. Debbie was writhing with impatience, but refrained from making the call herself, fearing to interrupt Vanessa and James' romance. About 2 hours later, Vanessa called her. Well, what's up? Were you pestering him? Did you catch him with the biscuits? I hope you had the sense to say that it wasn't me who baked them, but you? Actually, I did say it was you who baked them. Well, what am I going to do with you? Vanessa. Where's your feminine cunning? How could you be so naive? I told the truth. Vanessa defended herself. Yes, who needs your truth? Do you think you're seducing James? I think so. Then think properly. Think as a woman should think. Somewhere be sly, somewhere embellish yourself, somewhere pretend to be silly, and somewhere come up with a charming story about yourself. Use your head and imagination, Vanessa. You're smart, after all. Vanessa remained silent. Well, okay. Don't be upset. I'm asking. Were you pestering him? No. I wasn't bothering him. Then what were you two doing for a whole 2 hours? We were eating and drinking champagne. That's obvious, Debbie impatiently interrupted her sister. What else did you do? We talked. He praised you, your cooking. We talked about Murka, about work. Just neighborly stuff. And that's it? Debbie asked disappointedly. Yeah, that's it. And no hint of anything romantic? He didn't even hold your hand? He didn't hold my hand, but there was romance. Don't torment me, Vanessa. Confess, what happened between you two? Debbie. He was staring at my bare feet so intensely. I felt so uncomfortable. I almost wanted to put on slippers. Plus, my feet went numb. Well, at least something, Debbie sighed. And what did I tell you? Men love bare, defenseless women, but you should use that tactic when you have legs as beautiful as yours, Vanessa. Those toes on your feet are so appetizing. Well, never mind. Of course, the story isn't that great. But it's something. Let's continue to implement our plans. For now, let's take a time out from showing our interest in James. Let's give him the impression that we're not desperate for him. Let's not let him think we're too needy. And then we'll see. Debbie fiddled around in her concierge room. Pretending to be busy and not noticing James Palmer passing by, she felt his gaze on her, but she endured it, not raising her head to greet him. James paused by the window of the room and said, "Good evening, Debbie." "Oh, James Palmer." Debbie's face lit up in a smile. "Hello." Debbie had been maintaining the conversation all this time, but today she deliberately remained silent. By doing so, she was prodding James to initiate the conversation. James Palmer was clearly flustered, and as it seemed to Debbie, he was about to leave. But then she decided to ask the first thing that came to her mind. "Tired from work?" "You look tired." "A bit."
Yeah.
James admitted. "You should rest more often, otherwise it's all work, work, and when do you live? When do you admire the stars? When do you listen to bird songs and the babbling brook? Life is rushing by so fast. You might not even get the chance." "You're right, Debbie," James agreed. "And Vanessa, buried in work all the time. I feel sorry for her. Besides the concrete of our city, she doesn't see anything. You should collaborate with her, go outside the city into nature, feel the connection with it." "Well, you're quite the poet, Debbie." James smiled. "Don't you need to go to the countryside too?" Debbie got scared that James Palmer was trying to corner her and lied. "Oh, I live with my husband outside the city, where nature breathes its pristine existence." "I don't understand." James was surprised. "You live with Vanessa, don't you?" "Well, for now, yes. Actually, I live in France, and I came here for a reason. I want to give birth to my child here so that they have American citizenship," Debbie confessed. "I'm afraid of their laws. You never know what might happen in life. Your decision is probably the right one. Most likely. You know, Debbie, a theater group from New York has come here, and I bought tickets for Saturday. I'd like to invite you and Vanessa to the show. Of course, nature is wonderful, but the tickets are already bought." Debbie calculated in her mind and decided she wouldn't go to the theater. James Palmer would be torn between her and Vanessa, and she wanted to help him make a choice. "Why are you staying silent, Debbie? Don't overthink it. Consider it a thank you for the biscuits and conversation." James smiled. "I can't go with you." "Why?" James Palmer was surprised. "I thought you wouldn't have any duty that day." "I have an urgent translation," Debbie lied. "I need to finish it by Monday, and every hour counts. I'm not sure about Vanessa. I don't know if she can go or not. Aside from her main job, she also has remote work." It was evident from James' demeanor that he was disappointed. Debbie even felt sorry for him. "Don't worry, though. Vanessa will probably go with you. She loves plays. Go ask her today so that she can manage her urgent work." "You're giving me advice to relax while you and your busy sister, still quite naked in terms of effort," James reproached. "And you, Debbie, shouldn't burden yourself like this. Think about the child." "Oh, James Palmer. James Palmer. Such is the fate of us American women. To toil and sow. To sow and toil. Well, Vanessa. And what about your husband? Sorry for being nosy. Why is he making you toil?" Debbie didn't want to elaborate on her unmarried marriage, so she sighed and said, "Let's drop that topic. I apologize once again. It's not my business," James blushed. "I'll go try my tickets on Vanessa." "Debbie. He invited me to the theater." Vanessa triumphed. "But I have nothing to wear." Finally, I'm hearing something sensible from a woman. No matter how many outfits we have, there's always nothing to wear. We'll fix that, Debbie said. Tomorrow, we'll go and buy something sexy for you. With tearful eyes, Debbie opened the door to the smiling James Palmer. First, 2 bouquets of luxurious chrysanthemums squeezed into the hallway, and following them, holding this autumn beauty, the guest crossed the threshold. He saw Debbie's tear-streaked face, her swollen nose, and got flustered. James always got flustered in the presence of crying women. Debbie, what's going on? James Palmer asked instead of a greeting. Where's Vanessa? We're supposed to go to the theater. Take these. These are for you and Vanessa. Mechanically, Debbie took the flowers and, sniffling, said, Come in. Vanessa isn't here. What do you mean, she's not here? James got worried. I mean, she's not at home. She's in the hospital. Appendicitis attack. The ambulance took her in the morning, and she's already had surgery. Oh. James sighed in relief. Thank goodness. I thought. James Palmer sat on a chair in the hallway but didn't elaborate on what he was thinking. Instead, he added. It's not that I'm glad Vanessa's in the hospital. I didn't express myself well. I'm glad it's just appendicitis. I'm sorry I didn't tell you right away. Maybe you would have gone to the theater with someone else. Honestly, I had other things on my mind. Debbie apologized. Damn, to hell with the theater. I'm not theatrical. I just know that women like various plays, so I decided to invite you and Vanessa. In which hospital is Vanessa? City Hospital number 4. What do you think, Debbie? Would it be convenient if I visited her? Convenient? Debbie asked again, and her tears were wiped away as if by magic. That would be a humane thing to do. Vanessa will be happy to see you, but maybe not today. She's not up for visitors right now. That's understandable. Although Debbie was upset by the gloomy events, she didn't invite James Palmer further into the apartment. She decided not to encourage his presence. After all, she didn't know what he had on his mind. Sometimes men are easy to read. Their intentions are as clear as day. But James was a more complex case. Therefore, Debbie built an invisible wall between them. Let him get used to Vanessa. Whether it was a doctor or a nurse sitting by Vanessa's bed, saying something to her, James Palmer didn't catch, but he heard the last words. Will you go on a date or will you come? Vanessa smiled at the man in medical attire and blushed when she saw James entering the room. I'll come back later. The young man said and shook Vanessa's hand, which was lying on top of the blanket. Hello? He addressed James. Hello? Without looking at the man, James Palmer replied. Something inside him turned when he saw that young upstart next to Vanessa. He didn't like the rather carefree tone of the handsome medic, and he didn't like his own reaction to that tone. Is he jealous of Vanessa with this stud? Flashed through James Palmer's mind. And again, something unpleasant turned inside him. It can't be true. He thought. It can't be. And I don't want that. Hello, Vanessa. He formally greeted Vanessa and placed a bag of groceries on the bedside table. These are vitamins for a speedy recovery, and this bouquet is for my lovely neighbor. James Palmer handed Vanessa the flowers. He deliberately said, for my neighbor, to prevent Vanessa from suspecting anything in him. Anything that he himself suspected. He forbade himself from thinking that he liked Vanessa and liked her to such an extent that he was jealous. Hello? Vanessa replied. Thank you for remembering me and for coming to visit just like that, as neighbors do. Thank you for the vitamins, but I can't take them yet. And for the flowers. I adore flowers, I love chrysanthemums. They have such an exciting yet sad scent. I want to inhale their fragrance over and over again. If you don't mind, James, put the flowers in the vase by the window, please. James Palmer fussed with the flowers and the vase, and at that moment, the same upstart entered the room. Vanessa Becker. Is your visitor still here? He addressed Vanessa, ignoring James' presence, which further irritated James Palmer. Well, I'll come back later, the upstart said and disappeared behind the door. What tactless medical staff they have here, James exclaimed, bursting into the room like that. You'd think we're kissing in here. The words slipped out of his tongue. He himself didn't realize how he blurted that out, and he added to what he said, for instance, as a married couple might. Kendall knows that I'm not married, Vanessa answered, embarrassed, smiled, and added, he's an anesthesiologist, a good guy. Are you on a first-name basis with the medical staff, Vanessa? James was surprised. He asked me to call him by his first name and without formalities. You've known him for only 2 days, and you're already on a first-name basis. I've known you for much longer, and for some reason, we're still talking like strangers. Maybe because you, James Palmer, have established a certain distance between us that prevents us from having informal conversations. Me? James was surprised, then he agreed. Maybe you're right, Vanessa. I'm used to such a formal approach at work. So, I didn't pay much attention to it. But your Kendall woke me up about it. Vanessa, let's move on from this formal tone to a more friendly one. James Palmer took Vanessa's hand, shook it, and didn't let go. Vanessa's soft palm transmitted her warmth to him, and he felt so good and calm. Just holding her hand like that. Vanessa's heart was pounding out of her chest due to nervousness. In that moment, she wished that she and James would always hold hands like this. If James Palmer had just suspected feelings for Vanessa, then Vanessa had fallen in love with him at first sight. She was just slightly afraid of his authoritative demeanor and was even more afraid of not being pleasing to him. I agree, Vanessa replied and blushed. Let's switch to informal communication. But I want to clarify, Kendall is not mine, as you put it. James didn't have a chance to reply to Vanessa because that annoying Kendall peeked into the room again, not giving the other guy a chance to say anything. James Palmer growled. Yes, would you finally leave us alone? Kendall didn't close the door, but with a polite smile on his face, he said. Visitors shouldn't stay with postoperative patients for too long and burden them with their presence. The evening rounds will happen soon. So, you should leave the room. No one had ever talked to James Palmer like that. His face turned red with anger. He was ready to throttle this intrusive Kendall, but the hospital etiquette prevented him from doing so. Kendall continued to stand at the door, indicating that he wouldn't leave until James Palmer left the room. Well, damn it all. Just stay here until you collapse, James thought and said to Vanessa. Get well, Vanessa. I'll come to see you tomorrow. Is there anything you'd like me to bring? Anything you want, my dear. He leaned down and kissed her on the lips, not just a peck but a lingering lover's kiss. At another time, James wouldn't have dared to kiss Vanessa so boldly in the presence of others. But that was his response to that annoying Kendall. Let him know that Vanessa is his. But is she really his? James panicked about his impulsiveness, and then he remembered how he had stared at her bare feet and wished she were with him. He wished to kiss her rosy toes, so reminiscent of the pink fruits of a fig tree. Vanessa had stirred him deeply that night. In short, he slept and didn't sleep that night, dreaming in his slumber. Vanessa, how are you doing? Does it hurt? Debbie called and spoke with a tired voice. I'll come to see you tomorrow morning after my shift. It's tolerable, Vanessa replied. It hurts, but it's tolerable. Debbie, James came by, and I think he got jealous of Kendall. He lunged at me right in front of Kendall and started kissing me out of the blue. I was shocked, and Kendall kept looking into the room every 5 minutes, as if deliberately annoying James. James even blushed with anger, Vanessa chattered. Who? Kendall? Yes, what does Kendall have to do with it? It's James. Wow, Debbie said. Everything is progressing much faster than expected from James. He was so indecisive before. But suddenly, it's like he broke free from chains. I'm telling you. Kendall provoked him to do that. And on top of that, Kendall politely kicked him out of the room. You should have seen how angry James was. It seemed like Kendall wouldn't live to see another day. Did you tell James that Kendall is your classmate? No. I didn't tell him. You advised me to keep up the intrigue and use my imagination. Well, I did. Awesome. Debbie exclaimed. Vanessa, you're doing great. You're finally thinking like a real woman. Keep the tension going and keep me updated. Well,
Bye.
for now, or the police will show up for someone's soul. Kendall was clearly interested in Vanessa, and James Palmer even became afraid of competing with the audacious Kendall. Kendall was younger and more handsome than him. So, Vanessa might choose him. No, he won't give Vanessa to that audacious jerk. He needs her himself. More than half a year after the divorce with Linda, James Palmer hadn't been in any relationships with women. His wife had driven him to the point where he couldn't even think about romantic escapades. Spirited, energetic Debbie reminded him of his ex-wife in some ways. He feared women like her. He had had his fill of that kind of happiness. On the other hand, the composed and calm Vanessa had a soothing effect on him. Her presence exuded such balance and well-being that James Palmer was ready to bask in that euphoria forever. He had only admitted all of this to himself today. Kendall had established his position relative to Vanessa, and that position was increasingly convincing James that he was on the right path. Yes, he was just infatuated with Vanessa like a schoolboy. From today onwards, Vanessa hadn't left his mind for a single moment. He hadn't expected this from himself. During the night, James slept and didn't sleep, all because of Vanessa and that audacious Kendall. He dreamt that the scoundrel was kissing Vanessa and taking her away from him, and he was chasing after them, unable to catch up. He could hear Kendall's mocking voice. Your presence burdens Vanessa. You shouldn't do this. The morning rounds are about to start. Leave the room. James woke up from the nightmare, drenched in sweat. He woke up and may have even said out loud, perhaps to Kendall, "Damn it, I won't give Vanessa to anyone." Then James took a shower, had breakfast, and early in the morning, before Kendall's morning rounds, he went to see Vanessa in the hospital. Vanessa's hair spread over the pillow, a blush graced her cheeks. Her bare feet, which had excited James, peeked out from under the blanket. The sunlight was about to touch her eyes, and she would wake up, but at the moment, James stood in the middle of the room, admiring her. She slept, unaware that James was right there, experiencing the enchanting magic of his beloved woman's sleep. His heart overflowed with joy and love. He saw Vanessa sleeping, it was so intimate. And then all of this enchantment was disrupted by Kendall bursting into the room. Are you already here? He addressed James. Good morning. The noise in the room woke Vanessa up. She was surprised by James's early visit and noted to herself, the day is starting energetically. Good morning to everyone. She said. I slept so soundly. I didn't even hear that my morning started without me. She smiled at both James and Kendall. Kendall immediately sat down next to Vanessa's bed. He took her hand and pretended to check her pulse. No need, Kendall. Everything's fine. Vanessa said. Maybe you'll leave us alone? James said through gritted teeth. Don't you think so, Kendall? Kendall Sheldon. Kendall introduced himself. Don't you think your medical services are overly intrusive? And what are you doing here so early? Kendall asked James. Hospital visiting hours are established. Therefore, I have to ask you to leave. Kendall, there's no need for this. Vanessa requested. Let James stay. Kendall shrugged discontentedly and left the room. It's a good thing you asked him, Vanessa. Otherwise, my nerves wouldn't have held up, and they would have taken me away in a police uniform. He leaned towards Vanessa and kissed her. He kissed her, and if it weren't for the hospital bed, he would have laid down beside her, and together they would have embarked on a beautiful physical world of love, where two become one, and there's no room for the likes of Kendall and such. Phew. Vanessa broke away from James's eager lips. This is so uncomfortable. What if someone walks in? Let them walk in. James Palmer said. Let them see. What's wrong with that? Well, it's still a hospital. So what? Is it forbidden to kiss loved ones in a hospital? Even kisses are part of therapy. They heal better than Kendall Sheldon's pulse-checking antics, James Palmer summed up. Am I loved? Vanessa smiled. You're my beloved. And James reached for Vanessa again. Wait, James. Vanessa stopped him. You're so jealous. You're scaring me with this. Have I given you any reason to be jealous? You didn't give any reason, but this Kendall. He's hovering around you like a bear around a honey barrel. Do I look like a barrel? Vanessa laughed. You're like sweet fragrant honey. James smiled and kissed Vanessa. Well, how are you, sis? Debbie asked, not giving Vanessa a chance to respond, and continued. I see a sparkle in your eyes, a blush on your cheeks. You look better now than before the surgery. James confessed his love to me. Vanessa beamed. When did he have the chance? Maybe only in a dream during the night? We talked yesterday evening. I didn't hear anything like that. He came today, early in the morning, while I was still asleep. We were kissing, and again he was jealous of Kendall. Well, he's quite the character. Debbie was surprised. Quiet and reserved. But turns out he's quite the proactive guy. There you go, Vanessa. The ones you least expect often surprise you. Surprise you with what? Debbie didn't finish her sentence. Kendall burst into the room, quite literally burst in, and spoke angrily. Has that guy left? A while ago. Vanessa replied. Vanessa. Is this your boyfriend? Kendall seemed to be getting angry for some reason. Well, yes. Vanessa said with embarrassment. Can't you tell? I initially thought he was your supervisor. He has that bossy look. Bosses really get on my nerves. They think they can do anything and everything. So you don't get annoyed by them. Debbie chimed in. You should become like them yourself. She looked at Kendall, smiled, and added. Debbie. Vanessa's sister. Sister? Kendall was surprised. I don't remember hearing about any sister. Well, now there is one. Debbie smiled even more enchantingly. Vanessa knew that smile of hers, it was meant to charm dummies, and Kendall fell for it. His anxiety was betrayed by his frequent eye blinking. He'd had that since childhood. We're both this old. Vanessa thought, looking at her classmate. And many habits stick with us from childhood. She even felt sorry for Kendall and decided to come to his aid. That's my sister for you. Vanessa said. We only recently got acquainted, and now we can't imagine life without each other. My name is Kendall. Kendall came to his senses and twirled around Debbie. Nice to meet you. Very nice. Where has such a charming sister of Vanessa's been all this time? He started lavishing praise on Debbie. She was in France. Debbie answered. And why did you come back here? America is nowhere near France. I came back to give birth to my child. I want him to be an American citizen. Kendall choked on Debbie's words and started coughing. Excuse me. He said. Something got stuck in my throat. Well, never mind. I'll go get some coffee, soothe my throat, Kendall said. And he disappeared from the room in a flash. Vanessa and Debbie burst into laughter. Oh, Debbie. It hurts to laugh so much. Vanessa said. You really scared Kendall. He was just starting to cast his line to catch you, and here you are with your pregnancy. Let him find out everything when he's on the shore. The shores are steep. He'll find out the details and then plummet into the abyss. This way it's clear for both him and me. Shall we go to my place? James suggested, meeting Vanessa after her hospital stay. Debbie is waiting for me. She'll worry. Let's do it another time, James. James Palmer was disappointed by Vanessa's refusal. And Vanessa knew what James's invitation entailed. She wasn't prudish and understood that passionate kisses are usually followed by what adults do, but she wasn't prepared for that. Not that she wasn't physically ready, but she and Debbie hadn't come up with a legend about Vanessa's virginity yet, and how she would explain it to James. That would be so embarrassing. At 37, still a virgin. Indeed, Vanessa. You've given me quite the task. Well, let's come up with something together. Well, the story about the deceased pilot fiancé to whom you've remained faithful, that's going to sound too fake. James isn't some gullible old lady who believes all kinds of nonsense. So you think fidelity to a deceased fiancé is nonsense? Such women did exist, that's a fact. Vanessa objected. When was that, Vanessa? In royal times? You might as well tell James that you were planning to become a nun, because you were saving yourself for a higher purpose. Debbie laughed. You find it amusing, Debbie, but it's not funny to me. Vanessa felt hurt. I think it's best to tell the truth and not torment myself coming up with all sorts of stories. Well, maybe you're right, Vanessa. Maybe James will appreciate your honesty. You were saving your innocence for him, the one you love. That's enough. Vanessa got angry. Your sarcasm is totally inappropriate. I'll deal with this myself. Here's what I've thought, Debbie. It's not good to start with lies. I'll get tangled up, and trust will start to erode between us. Besides, I'm not very good at lying. I didn't tell Kendall that he's my classmate, and honestly, I won't be able to lie convincingly. Good luck. Debbie said. Just don't say I didn't warn you. I won't. So, how did it all go? Are you a woman now? Debbie was curious. Everything went well, Vanessa smiled mysteriously. Debbie, how I love him. He proposed that we live together. Isn't it a bit early? Debbie doubted. I said the same thing to him, and he said, why wait? Everything between us is clear anyway. I still don't get it. He confessed his love to you, but didn't ask if you love him? Quite the confident guy. He did ask, Debbie. He did. Still, I'm curious. How did you justify your virginity? I told the truth. I talked about my life, how because of my mother's constant rotation of men, I developed a physical fear of men. I thought they were to blame for my mother hardly noticing me and for her early death. Now I think, Debbie, maybe I wanted to be unattractive. It was my defensive reaction to the life I saw from childhood. Poor you, my Vanessa. Poor you. Debbie hugged her sister and teared up on her shoulder. And what did James say about it? Nothing. He was so gentle and affectionate with me. He understood me. Yes, exactly, Debbie. He understood me and sympathized. Vanessa. I'm so happy for you. Everything will be fine between you and James. I'm sure of it. And as for me, Kendall called and set up a date. Really? When did that happen? Vanessa was surprised. On the same day he found out that I'm pregnant. I left your room and he was waiting for me. We talked and exchanged numbers. Well, then he called. Are you going? I am. Go, Debbie. He's such a great guy. If something works out between you two, I'll only be happy for you. Plus, I don't want you to go back to your France and that traitor Jean-Paul. Vanessa and James, Debbie and Kendall went to submit their marriage applications on the same day. They met at the entrance to the registration hall, and upon seeing Kendall, James couldn't hold back and shouted. You're here again? Are you stalking us? This is getting ridiculous. No. Kendall smiled. I'm stalking Debbie, and to stop stalking her, I decided to marry her. He kissed Debbie and gently stroked her protruding belly. We're having twins. Can you imagine? I'll be a dad to 2 children at once. Well then, friends. James Palmer smiled and extended his hand to Kendall as a gesture of reconciliation. The men shook hands, and James boasted. Vanessa and I are having a little one too. Well, he's already with us. Just he's still very, very tiny. James embraced Vanessa and also gently stroked her still flat belly. Dear listener, if you enjoyed this story, subscribe to our channel, give it a like, and be sure to share your thoughts in the comments.